皆様お待たせをいたしました。改めまして本日はお忙しい中、ブロックチェーンの健全な発展と新しいビジネス創造のためにご来場並びにご視聴賜りまして誠にありがとうございます。ではお時間となりましたので、これよりデジタル包摂による金融の未来、新興国におけるブロックチェーン活用への道をテーマにパネルディスカッションを行ってまいります。では早速ではございますが、パネリストの皆様方ご紹介を申し上げます。ガーナ .com 会長ニーナルク・クエイノア様、ペサベースディレクターオブグロース&ユーザーアクイジッションロゼリン・ワンジル様、ビトワラ最高財務責任者クリストフ・アイワニーズ様、そして本セッションのモデレーターを務めますのは金融庁国際政策管理官三輪淳平でございます。では早速ではございますが、ここからの進行、早速皆さんにバトンタッチをさせていただきます。皆さんよろしくお願いいたします。
どうも皆さんこんにちは。Good evening in Tokyo and good afternoon in Europe and Africa. So yes, it's like singer or guitarist. And this is a very good position to talk. So thank you so much. So for this session, we will highlight the issue of the digital inclusion. So this is a BG2C session. So titled "The Evolution of the Digital Inclusion and blockchain, especially in light of the emerging markets." So my name is Junpei Miura from the JFSA, financial regulator of Japan. And for discussion, we have invited three distinguished guests from the Africa and the European space with various backgrounds. So please be welcomed. So first guest is Mr. Nee Nark Kwainor, who is the internet pioneer and the chairman of Ghana.com. And the second guest is Ms. Rosalind Wanjil, who is the blockchain and specialist and economist in the especially in activated in Kenya. And the last person is the Mr. Christopher Ivanitz, who is the in Bitwara, which is the leading blockchain company in Berlin-based. So okay, we have just 40 minutes for this discussion. So firstly, we would like to start with your self-introduction more deeply. So and explain your background. So could you start with the Nissan of your self-introduction and your background, please?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to participate in the session. I'm a computer scientist in distributed systems by education in the US. In Ghana, I started a computer science department and then joined the internet deployment. We established regional technical institutions for the internet, including Numbers Registry, Network Operator Group, Research Education Network, and so on. We are looking to do similarly for blockchain as we understand the needs. I'm currently chairman of an ICANN accredited registrar, who in addition to registrar services operates an exchange, a network of crypto ATMs, web payment services, and provides blockchain solutions to universities and rural development authorities. I look forward to collaboration in developing blockchain capacity and communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So next one is Rosanne, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Rosalind, and I'm currently the Director of Growth and User Acquisitions at Pesabase. Pesabase is a premier peer-to-peer remittance and payment solution in Africa. And we're using blockchain technology to leverage and be able to ensure financial inclusion to connect Africa. As an economist, I've been focused on and really passionate about issues to do with blockchain and digital inclusion because I believe it's really key to Africa being able to leapfrog a lot of systemic and current challenges in terms of interconnectivity and trade. So in today's discussion, I look forward to being able to just share insights in terms of development of blockchain in Africa, and being able to just highlight and shed light on just different developments in terms of what's going on with the youth in Africa and blockchain. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. So the last guy, yes, Chris, please.
Thanks for the invitation and this opportunity. I'm Christoph. I'm the CFO. I'm responsible for everything regarding, obviously, fundraising, financials, tax, but also our banking operations here at Bitwala. When I'm saying banking operations, why is this the case? Bitwala is a neobank, a challenger bank in Germany, but we are serving all over Europe. Europe is one single market. So customers all over Europe can use our easy-to-use bank account. So we are a normal current account where you can pay your rent, you can receive your salary. But at the same time, and this is obviously the reason for this panel, we are creating a bridge into blockchain-based financial products. As of today, Bitcoin and Ethereum are very important financial assets which are based on the blockchain, and we make them available directly in your bank account. This is what we do. We build this bridge between traditional finance and this coming new financial opportunities in the blockchain space.
Okay, thanks so much. So yes, okay, let's move on to the physical session of for the discussion. So as I mentioned, this session highlights the digital inclusion. So maybe we can 2 or 3 topics, yes, at least the such kind of 3 topics there. So for digital inclusion. So and of course we would like to include the blockchain context. And firstly, we'd like to touch upon the current or the past and or the situation, and we would like to highlight the opportunity of the digital inclusion. So currently, due to the COVID-19, so people's lifestyle is heavily changed, and most people have faced city lockdown or have been at least subject to the kind of style of lives on staying at home. So in change of lives, so we are more inclusive, getting more inclusive in the digital space. Or more clearly said that, especially inclusive in the digital economic space. So such as where most of people have done the shopping in the digital space. So and a lot of opportunity of the digital settlement or something. So that's we are currently due to COVID, with the COVID something. So we're expanding the digital activities in the age of the COVID. So especially we firstly touch upon the opportunity for the inclusion developed recently in the region, and we would like to highlight the coming development with or post-COVID age for further digital inclusion. So first question is that we would like to hear you about the development and the opportunity for the digital inclusion. So we would like to start with Nissan, especially from your background on the internet pioneer in Africa. So how do you see the current situation, especially in light of opportunity of the digital inclusion?
Thanks. Though the internet is 50 years old, it's only been in Africa for 30 years of that time, and has attained regional penetration average of about 40%. In this time, we had to do policy reforms, start education on the subjects, provide services at the same time, and creating supporting institutions. Now, blockchain is only about 6 years old, so the digital inclusion opportunities would be enormous. Blockchain likely to follow similar evolution as the internet while leveraging existing software development skills on the continent. Now, during COVID, we saw how the internet was already able to scale and absorb the new traffic pattern as well as demand. I believe that the new traffic will increasingly include blockchain traffic in post-COVID with more virtual life. The perspective is that it is very important for policymakers, regulators, industry, and academic communities to work even more closely in adoption of technology in post-COVID.
Okay, thanks so much. So yeah, okay, it's a very good development in the especially in the African space. So many cross-far relationship with the the stakeholders, something. So okay, yes. Could you have Rosalind have the same question on the opportunity for the digital inclusion, especially in the Kenya or African space? So please, okay.
So there's an incredible opportunity for the inclusion and expansion of blockchain and both internet-related technologies, because especially for Africa, there's a rise in talent in terms of software development, freelance, and we can actually take a leaf of, or borrow a leaf of the development of M-Pesa. And with M-Pesa, it's taken a growth curve in the last 10 to 11 years. And what we've seen with the different layers of M-Pesa in Kenya, for instance, is that they started with peer-to-peer transactions, then went to like business to business, business to peer, and then business to like all-around transactions. So it's actually just given people a very easy way to be able to cash in and cash out by being able to have Kenya shilling at 1-to-1 rate to an M-Pesa token. And that, I believe, is actually the easiest way for people to be able to understand how to use blockchain technology and other digital currencies that will be born off the same technology. And it's going to be easy because it won't really require a huge learning curve. So that's one of the key elements to people being able to use this technology. One of the key examples that I would like to highlight is the use of Sarafu credit, whereby different communities are able to actually just use a means of credit to facilitate simple transactions every day. So in the case of COVID early this year, there was a 500% increase in the use of this community currency. And it being one of the key use cases of blockchain technology was quite a very, a very easy way for other companies to be able to tell how they can leverage community relationships and simple applications for community to use without a very high learning curve. So even the pandemic, it's going to be very easy for companies to be able to launch applications that are community based, and many people will be able to participate in this technological revolution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So yes, it's very good Simpson. So yes, of course, yes. Okay, thank you so much. So honestly, Christoph, do you have a specific development in the Berlin? So last year I visited the Berlin. So I felt that very. Many people or many startups activated in the Berlin community, especially in light of the blockchain technology. So. Do you see the current situation, especially in light of the community in the Berlin? So, please.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for your visit last year, and I'm happy to share with everyone here in this panel that Berlin has a very specific atmosphere for startups. And why is this the case? Berlin is a very open-minded city. So traditionally, Berlin has always had an alternative lifestyle. Even in the time of the Cold War, you remember perhaps Berlin was behind the wall. It was a very special atmosphere in the city of resisting that that situation in this Cold War setting. And this is until today, Berliners are a little bit special, and the city is very open. It's very international. You can very easily find people from all over the world sitting in a cafe next to you. So yesterday evening I was in a restaurant, and all the tables around me were speaking French, Japanese actually, and English, but no table around me was speaking German. And so there's a lot of people coming in, developers, young talent wanting to work on digital ideas, on new startups, and just try something. This is a city in which you just try something. If it's not working, you try the next thing. And this atmosphere of being curious about technology obviously was a very good, solid foundation for blockchain, because this is something completely different. It's completely changing the way of how a financial product is delivered and it's facilitated. So it can create a completely new setup of financial ecosystem, and this was very welcomed by the Berlin ecosystem. And so we see here many startups in that area. We see also venture capital. very important in an ecosystem is that you have both sides, the guys who have great ideas, who found a startup and do something new, but also the people who believe in these ideas and put actual money into. And if these people can meet on a meetup in the evening, they can meet for a coffee to exchange idea, that is like, obviously, physically, it was very important to be in the same city. And now what we see is obviously people are hopefully not meeting anymore. People hopefully stay at home and be safe. So this local ecosystem is breaking up a little bit. And we obviously see way more interaction via Zoom and people reaching out more into social media. I would argue that being connected via the tools we are having, like LinkedIn, etc., is now even more important to make the right relationships to be successful in the area you're working in.
Okay, thanks so much. So I think the Brewery has a very good move for the open innovation and very good atmosphere for the kind of the establishing the good ecosystem, and especially in the blockchain community, something. So thank you so much. So okay, I think the we are very we understand the very positive move in the Africa and especially in Europe space. So of course, the second question is relating to the more specifically on the use of blockchain for inclusion purpose. So I think that this topic would like to start with Rosalind and Christoph, especially from the viewpoint of the physically touching on the innovation or the development as a mental or innovation or something. So how do you see the current usage of the blockchain technology? Please start with the Rosalind regarding this blockchain usage in your community.
All right. In my community, I would highlight that there are about 10 companies that are already pioneering solutions in blockchain technology. Aside from this, which is focused on financial inclusion, there is Melanin Solar, which is focused on an energy and blockchain use case, which will allow peer-to-peer energy trading. There's also Bitcoin, which allows for healthcare. It has a health coin or project that allows people to be able to track health data, and it's really had some key developments in the last 3 years. There's also Kotani Pay. Kotani Pay allows for a USSD kind of integration for payments on the blockchain. And each of these other projects are related to especially education and media. So in terms of education, there's the Cryptocurrency Academy that has enabled different users to be able to learn about digital currencies, cryptocurrencies, blockchain technologies, just the basics, so that especially for young people, they're able to see the career options that they have. And for even corporates, they're able to understand how to integrate their technology in their usage. There's the Blockchain Association of Kenya, which is really spearheading the use of regulation and different use cases, especially for the corporate space, because you realize that different companies don't quite have a roadmap as to how to integrate blockchain technology. And there are quite a lot of discussions, both in terms of government and private sector, in terms of how to integrate their technology. So you realize that with the inclusion of policy, it's going to be very easy for corporates, especially, to be able to integrate their technology in different aspects of their operations. And organizations similar to or working with the Blockchain Association of Kenya are going to have a policy roadmap, and there's also a project on virtual currencies bill, which is really going to complement what the government had already proposed. I'll highlight a bit more on that later when we talk about regulation. And that's just to highlight the key developments that have already happened in the last 5 to 7 years in Kenya in particular. In other countries like Uganda, Nigeria, and South Africa, there are different communities, different organizations that are highlighting work media. So the media organizations like Bitcoin Kenya and Crypto TV Plus highlight, not just in Africa, but globally in terms of blockchain, cryptocurrency, for people to be able to understand. And you realize that correct or proper reporting is deeply essential to people being able to perceive this technology rightly and to be able to actually wipe out the negative press and the false information that had been circulating in media platforms about blockchain technology. And we realized that for different, people, not just individuals, but corporates and governments to be able to appreciate the technology, it's really critical for right and correct reporting and timely reporting as well, so that the negative perceptions are, kind of phased out, and people are able to decide a lot better and more, more accurately in terms of dealing with or appreciating technology, because it's been known to, kind of been sidelined for its complexity. But the simpler it becomes for people to understand, then the wider it is, the easier it's going to be for people to adopt the technology. And this is going to pave way, especially for collaboration between industries, not just software, but or IT or internet, but also healthcare, supply chain. Whether we want to talk about healthcare and health tech, it's really going to be essential for this collaboration to pave way for more applications, so that even in terms of education, then new users and challenges to do with illiteracy or devices, because for smartphone penetration, you can't say that it's 100% in all around the world. So whether we want to talk about drawing down the barriers of illiteracy or smartphone access or internet access, then it's going to be easier for these platforms being more inclusive than for us, and more people will be able to use them, and that will be essential for integration and inclusion, not just in Africa and emerging markets, but globally, because I view Africa as right now being able to have access to the global stage a lot more easily through this technology, because that's really why I've become a huge advocate for blockchain technology in my country and really Africa right now.
Okay, thanks so much. So yes, very fantastic. I think the integration of technology with the community, so in Africa. So yes, I think how do you see the interaction with the government side? So for developing community, do you have any specific comment on the interaction with the government, Rosalind?
Yes, indeed. In 2018, the government actually launched a task force to investigate the applicability of distributed ledger technology and artificial intelligence. And the task force had several recommendations for implementation of blockchain and artificial intelligence in Kenya. And since then, I've seen a lot more of private sector meetings, first of all, lobbying and different initiatives, actually just to create awareness and to create partnerships and collaborations for the implementation of this product. So you realize that for artificial intelligence, it being quite intense integration, I will say that in the next 2 to 3 years, we might see the first products, platforms, and services being launched to the wider public. But as at now, there are quite a number of tests that are going on in terms of product development and having the right consumer protection. In Nigeria, there's the Central Bank of Nigeria. In Rwanda as well, South Africa, there are different efforts also to create better guidelines for understanding how to use the technology, and also in terms of cryptocurrencies, digital currencies. Some countries are leaning more toward the creation of national currencies that create a digital version of their own currency that can be used as legal tender, which will of course create far more accountability and transparency with the management of the national currency, as well as monetary policy and fiscal policy. But just mentioning that, it's that these efforts are going on right now at different in each of these countries. But the leading ones, I would say, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Egypt, and even Botswana to an extent. So these countries will actually be a bit of I would say a beacon for the rest of as they try to understand how to just create an enabling environment, not just for governments, but also for entrepreneurs and for different.
Okay, I see. Thanks so much. So, so the same question to the Christoph, the blockchain users in your community. So yes, please.
Yeah, happy to elaborate. In Europe right now, we see that blockchain-based assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and cryptocurrencies are mostly an investment. So we are not using it as a matter of payments. In the last years, the narrative has changed, and people try to build up investments, diversify their holdings, having a little bit of real estate, a little bit of stocks, and also having some cryptocurrencies to have the upside and the chances. And what we see in terms of inclusion, I want to share here also that too few people actually invest, especially young people, millennials. Too few people look forward to their pension, and some people only rely on the government systems for their pensions, but they are pretty low in the future. So you need to do something on the side. You need to invest very early, around 20, 30. You need to start to build up something. And when we look into this group of millennials, we see that the asset class they are most interested in. So if you ask them, in what do you want to invest, 55% answer cryptocurrencies. The second biggest is shares with 40%, shares and ETFs. So you see there's a preference to use cryptocurrencies in that age group. And why is this the case? Because it's truly digital. Cryptocurrencies is the native asset which has been born in the time that the millennials started to go into the internet. They used digital applications, and this is the digital native asset class which was developed in that time and behaves very naturally digitally. So if you try out to buy shares and you're pretty young, like beginning of your 20s, and you're used to really good user flows in all your social media apps, in your Instagram, etc., and then you use the first time a bank account and a share depot, and you buy shares the first time, you will be pretty annoyed, right? So if you want to buy Apple shares, if you're pretty young with your first job, you want to invest whatever, €50, $50 a month in Apple. That's not possible because an Apple share costs €450, and that's the minimal investment. So that is a conversion break all the time. And so we see that cryptocurrencies, which you can make completely fractional, you can send it to someone wallet to wallet. You cannot send your shares to someone to make a gift or to share something. And this is why we believe that cryptocurrencies are very, very important for the financial inclusion in terms of investment of a younger generation which needs to invest for their future.
Okay, thanks so much. So very surprised to hear the younger generation has almost stepped into the blockchain space, especially in terms of the crypto assets. So yes, I think how do you see the current interaction with the regulation side, especially of course the regulation sometimes could hinder the innovation. So how do you see the interaction with the government side? So
as a German citizen, I'm pretty happy that our government is very proactively moving forward. So inside of Europe, you have some countries, the smaller countries, which always can move faster. This is like Liechtenstein, Malta. They have small governments. Very few alignment is necessary in these countries. They can move fast. But from the bigger European economies, I would argue that Germany is very proactively moving forward. The German government has a blockchain strategy, actually, in which they execute in different areas, like Internet of Things, applications, supply chain, but also obviously finance. And inside the finance part, the German government has set a pretty good regulatory setup of how you can develop securities based on the blockchain. So the blockchain is the ownership layer and the representation of the ownership of securities in the future, to make this whole security market more digital. And also the German government has moved forward to give security to every company in this area, how in terms of regulation cryptocurrencies are regarded, how trading is regarded and treated, and also very important, the custodianship, so holding these assets and safeguarding these assets. This is super important for people moving into investments in that space with significant amounts, to have reliability that your assets are taken care of by reputable companies, and that they will not vanish somewhere. And this layer and this setup of rules which are set now, in my opinion, are very, very good setup to develop the industry, give the industry a lot of reliability for their investments and for moving forward.
Okay, thanks so much. So finally, Nissan, so could you have some specific thought on the current blockchain users in the African space from the your rich experience in the the internet space. So do you see the current how do you see the current situation in the blockchain usage, especially in African space?
Okay, yeah, thanks. Actually, I see good progress as the communities, one would say, are self-organizing. Clearly, there are developer communities, there are educational-related communities, and investment and trading communities emerging. We can see and feel that. At the same time, policymakers are also nurturing a variety of programs. Some countries are ahead, some are being more cautious because they've had certain other kinds of, you might say, finance issues with banks and other challenges. The potential is really great for solving local needs because the youth actually have very wide experience in networking from the prior era. At the same time, they've developed, programming skills. And so one would say leveraging the mobile application experience, web hosting related experience, and mobile money into cryptocurrency blockchain will be quite effective. So I see some good progress there. Policymakers need to clarify their position on cryptocurrencies and blockchain in laws as quickly as possible, partly to protect consumers, but also to attract investment. That's something we saw in the internet era. Now, the reform ought to happen, of course, quicker than it took us in the internet introduction era because we have more experience. We need to have more blockchain full nodes in the infrastructure, and we need to get more involved in the techniques that make things efficient or create new kinds of financial transactions, perhaps a little bit of layer 2 kind of thinking or channels and so on. And we need to pay attention to, a lot of things are dependent on mobile here, and people do lose them. And the environment is also emerging, and so there are sometimes difficulties in choosing custodians. And so key management issues may also be important for our environment, perhaps generally identity. And I'd like to see us get more involved in that. Those would be my thoughts on blockchain community in Africa.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, the last point is very important for the issue of the custody or digital identities. Yes, I recognize that there's a very great potential, and we have to develop the more organized ones. So just for the use of the social economy. Something. Okay, thanks. So, Lisa, one question regarding the digital currency. So, how do you see the Libra? Which is for the purpose of the kind of the inclusion, as white paper of Libra says. So, do you see the digital currency or Libra type of or stable coins in the African society?
Okay, I think they also add value, and in fact, it makes you might say cryptocurrencies become more accepted. But there's always a question in the minds of states as to what impact it has on their economy. And so there will be discussions regarding how to ensure that it does not, maybe not negatively impact the economy. And there will be a response, as I'm seeing, that countries are really looking at their own digital currency. But the whole thing has to happen in a way that people can participate. And I think that's perhaps the most important thing. It's totally Libra, totally isolated from everyone, may be difficult, but a much, much more open and more inclusive liberal may work.
Lisa, so could you hear my voice? Okay.
Yes, I can hear your voice.
Okay. Thanks so much. So, yes. Okay. The same question to the Rosalind. Based on the reaction or feedback from the Nissan. So, how do you see the the kind of the digital currency especially in your community and the society?
So, based on actually the adoption of M-Pesa, which has really created different layers of adoption in the economy, whether you want to talk about peer-to-peer business, whether someone wants utilities or things like that, it's that it's created a new way for people to be able to track the velocity of money. So the adoption and the uptake of M-Pesa, I would say, gives a bit of an inclination or a lot of great insight in terms of how a digital currency can be adopted or rolled out. But the thing I would actually just even highlight, just as Ni has mentioned, is collaboration, because collaboration is really going to be the key to the understanding and to the integration of these digital currencies. Because without collaboration, it's going to be that you have a situation whereby the government wants to roll out something, but communities are not aware of the implications of having a digital currency versus the physical currency. And the community has or rolls out their own digital currencies or their own cryptocurrencies and their own tokens, which is actually quite possible, then it's going to be hard for different organizations or the government at large to be able to track how much value is being created or circulated in the economy. And the question at the end of the day will be, what's the real value of currency in the economy? That's the question that I think a lot of people are trying to ask and answer. And at the end of the day, what people are trying to find out is the intrinsic value of digital and cryptocurrencies. So the thing is that be very critical for collaboration across regulators, government, private sector, and even peer-to-peer or community educators, because those are what I would say not only the last mile but critical translators, because you realize that if we have too much of the technical or niche specific language, then how are you going to tell someone in the community, take this currency and do your work? No, it's going to be very essential for this language to be broken down in the easiest way so that the youngest and the oldest can be able to participate in the digital economy. Because for sure we can, we can agree that the digital economy is not just a thing that's here to stay, but it's evolving faster than, we can, even put certain marks or parameters. So it's going to be essentially crucial for there to be collaboration, cross-government, intergovernmental, cross-community, private sector government, in terms of private and public sector partnerships. These are going to be essential in terms of not just the understanding, but the appreciation and the rollout, because that's the key to be able to have people appreciating and participating and creating value and distributing in terms of using this technology, because the technology is a tool, but the needs of the community must be understood well enough for people to be able to participate and serve the needs of the community. Because whether you want to talk about young people, creating jobs and diverse income opportunities, even just being able to understand cryptocurrencies as an alternative investment, and that's what a lot of people really want to know. It's that collaboration in terms of sharing this information is going to be critical, even in weeding out scams and false products in that regard, because these are the things that would actually curtail the adoption of this technology. So collaboration. If I say nothing else from myself.
Okay, thanks so much. Yes, okay, thanks. So the same question to the Christoph. So your economy is pretty much crypto asset is inclusive. So how do you see the the new form of digital currency, stablecoin, something? Yes.
I think this is extremely important development. So when you look back 10 years ago, Satoshi Nakamoto published a white paper, which we know as Bitcoin, and he talked about peer-to-peer cash. So actually the original development of the blockchain and Bitcoin on the blockchain was how to pay and how to move value from one wallet to another wallet as a matter of payment. And as I said before, in Europe right now, the euro is a very stable currency. You have banks are very digital already. So the Bitcoin itself is not competing in terms of payments because it's volatility. But like the original idea to make also money way more digital, to put it on the blockchain as a matter of transportation of value, that has a huge upside. So you can make programmable money, smart contract money. You obviously, it's way more borderless, it's way more fractional, it's faster than booking from bank to bank and from one silo of money is digital in a bank, yes, but it's always in a silo. It's never open source. It's never available everywhere at the same time. So I believe that also for here in Germany, there's a strong push from the industry, actually, that somebody is developing now digital money and programmable euro because they want to use it in IoT devices, for self-driving cars, for automated payments. There's a lot of use cases which are not doable with the current representation of central bank and bank money. And so there's now, so where do we move to into the future, right? So there could be private initiatives, some people who could put like Libra, who could develop a mechanism where money is from a private central organization distributed in a blockchain-based way. So could be Libra, could be one of the credit card companies, could be a bank like an e-money scheme. It could be a very decentralized version, so the complete opposite, like MakerDAO, like very smart, decentral possibilities. Or the third option, again, central one, but not private, but public. A public central solution would be if the central banks would themselves move forward to put money on the blockchain representation and make a programmable euro basically next to the central bank euro in the normal way distributed through private banks. And there's a strong push into that direction because the public opinion doesn't want, especially in Germany or like in countries like France, that private companies take over money printing or creating money. And this is regarded as a public monopoly, and it's important that it stays in public hands.
Okay, thanks. So maybe yes, time is running out. So the last comment will be. I asked the Nissan so that everyone touch upon the community development and the blockchain space. So what is the important part of the community development, especially especially envisaging the future takeaways of the more encouraging the blockchain community something. So do you see the kind of view on these points, Nissan, please?
Yeah. Okay, the only barrier to inclusion perhaps starts with not being part. And hence, one might say that the openness to participation and access become cures, or you might say solutions for digital inclusion. Okay. Because if you don't know about it, you may not be interested, but you will not participate. But if we make it open and easy for people to want to be part, then it begins to remove some of the inclusion challenges away. And it is for that reason that I was emphasizing that the digital currencies, including Libra, all need to maintain the openness and have communities evolving the standards instead. Instead of the standards being, fait accompli presented. That is very important. And the issue to address in digital inclusion actually requires multidisciplinary and diverse roles. And therefore, the bottom-up decision process works better because the issues being addressed are about shared resources, community resources, national resources, what have you. And I think that engages more expertise and builds confidence in the outputs at the same time. That's what I might say, yeah.
Okay, thanks. So a very fantastic view. Yes, I think this the session is maybe put emphasis on the more proper community development, and of course it is very important things that we have to look at the kind of openness and the more inclusive for the using the bottom-up approach to to discuss in the community. So I think the community development is one of the key things so for the more digital inclusion space. So thank you so much for the all the panelists. So very fruitful discussion. Thank you so much. So I think the yes, we continue to discuss this inclusion issues so in the blockchain space. So I think the this is a very fantastic session. This was very fantastic session. Thank you so much. So thank you very much for participating in this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all speakers. ありがとうございました。そしてモデレーター役の皆さんもありがとうございました。
Goodbye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
ではこれをもちましてデジタル包摂による金融の未来、新興国におけるブロックチェーン活用への道、パネルディスカッション終了とさせていただきます。ここで続いてのセッションのご案内でございます。ホール A では19時45分よりパネルディスカッション、CBDC セッション Highlighting Technical Aspects for CBDC Viability、そしてこちらのホール B ではこの後19時15分よりアンカンファレンス自由参加型セッション1ブロックチェーンのさまざまな課題をあらゆる角度から考えるお届けいたします。オンライン視聴の皆様方ご視聴いただくセッション会場の URL ご選択の上ご参加をお願いいたします。では次のセッションの開始のお時間まで今しばらくお待ちください。